Hello, my name is Timothy Wright from the Berkeley Center for the Study of Religion, and today I am interviewing Candace Lukasik, a PhD candidate in the Department of Anthropology here at UC Berkeley, as part of our series titled Five Questions. Five Questions is a nod to BCSR's fifth anniversary, which we are marking by getting to know the people and activities that make up the BCSR community through interviews like this one. Candace Lukasik is a recipient of one of BCSR's summer grants for research on her dissertation titled Transnational Anxieties, Shaping a Minority Community Between Egypt and the United States, a study of the Egyptian Coptic diaspora. Candace just returned from a summer of travel and research on the East Coast and has also spent much time in Egypt in recent years. I will ask Candace 5 questions about her background and her research. So Candace, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So the first question I'd like to ask is a very broad question, and that is, how did you get to this point? And what influences or events or people led you to study the Egyptian Coptic community here at Berkeley?
So I came to Egypt in a very in a funny way. I was graduating high school and I applied for an Arabic language summer program through AFS, the Summer Language Institute, which is now a part of the State Department. And it was going to Cairo. And I just applied because, anybody wants to go see the pyramids. And so I ended up applying and I got it. And I spent the summer in Cairo and happened to be very close with somebody on the program whose host family was Coptic Orthodox or Egyptian Orthodox Christian. And I became very close with them, and the following summer in 2008, I spent 4 months with them in Egypt, and attended liturgy with them. Just became very involved in the community more broadly, and from there, I decided to think about the community in a more academic way. I was pursuing a BA in Political Science International Relations at Canisius College, which is in my hometown of Buffalo, New York. And the revolution happened in 2011, and subsequent events thereafter involving the Coptic community and attacks on the Coptic community really made me interested in pursuing larger questions. So I started my master's degree at Columbia University in the Middle East, South Asian, and African Studies department. And I went to Cairo for 9 months of field work in 2012, working on Coptic political movements after the revolution. And while I was there, I started reading some of the work of Saba Mahmoud, who at that point was just publishing, a couple of articles that would eventually become her second book, Religious Difference in a Secular Age. And I just decided maybe about a month before applications were due for PhD programs to apply. And most of the programs I applied for were history programs. And I only applied for one anthropology program, and that was at UC Berkeley with Saba, and to work particularly with Saba and Charles Hirschkind. And really working with her transformed my project and my intellectual focus, and how I would tie together my extensive fieldwork in Egypt with larger conceptual questions. She was a wonderful mentor, and that's the reason I'm pretty much here today and finished dissertation fieldwork, and I'm about to write this. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on that for our second question, you mentioned that you came from a more political science, international relations background, and then read some stuff on religion by Saba Mahmoud. Yeah. How did you make that? Because it seems like religion is an important framework for your dissertation. How did that transition to a more religious-based topic go? And was that because of Saba Mahmoud primarily?
So I think that in any of our intellectual pursuits, it's a mixture of professional but also personal interests. And yes, for my undergrad, I pursued a political science, international relations focus, thinking about working in like the Middle East. At
Mm-hmm.
that time when I was much younger, thinking
Mm-hmm.
about working for the State Department or, government agencies to
Mm-hmm.
utilize my Arabic language skills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I grew up Catholic and
Mm-hmm.
was very interested in the Coptic community because of that personal connection that I had
Okay.
growing up, and became more and more involved in the Coptic Orthodox Church in a personal way as well.
Mm.
And that's how I kind of got more and more interested professionally in kind of pursuing some more intellectual questions associated with the
Mm-hmm.
community. And so it kind of wasn't a decision to focus on religion, but it was very much a natural process for
Mm-hmm.
me, in that I wanted to mix my interest in politics with my personal interest, and engagement with my like
Mm-hmm.
Christian faith and my
Right.
interest in this particular community that I came across when I was in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of just converged together in that way, where at Columbia I was pursuing an area studies program,
Mm-hmm.
and became more and more interested in I think in a natural way in ethnographic work,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of where Saba and
Mm-hmm.
I encountered Saba's work in that
Right.
particular way.
Okay. Thank you. So moving on to our third question, could you just walk us through your dissertation? Maybe the main questions that it asks.
Sure. Yeah. Big question. So I'll start more broadly. The dissertation broadly can focuses on three different aspects: migration, minority communities, and religion/secularism. Uh, and so I start kind of with what is the importance of this dissertation. So over the past um, now 8 years almost, since 2011, almost 8 years. Uh, Obviously, there's been a huge migratory wave from the Middle East to Europe, but also Canada, the United States,
Mm-hmm.
um, and involved in kind of the aftermath of the 2011 uprisings. Middle Eastern Christians have also been not only targets of particular violences, but have been involved in migrating themselves to escape particular situations. And so the reason that I have focused particularly on the Coptic Orthodox Christians from Egypt, in thinking about what this migratory wave means, is for a variety of factors. And I'll just briefly outline three. The first is that Egypt is actually, it's either the largest or second largest, it fluctuates every year, the largest recipient of the green card lottery,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously has been in the news over the past year or two, whether it's going to be eliminated
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And a vast majority of those people that have received the green card lottery for certain structural reasons have been Christians in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And so this program has been around since the 1990s, but more and more Christians have applied for it from Egypt. And so part of the reason, why COPs are important to thinking about migration from Egypt is because there's a lot of them that are migrating. The second is that, over the past few years in particular, but since 2011, COPs have been a particular target in Egypt. Since 2015, let's say, they have been a very specific target for ISIS or Daesh. And that has particular meanings for kind of Western political geopolitics and foreign policy and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And the third reason, in particular, to kind of think about these questions is that the COPs, as a Christian minority community, and the largest Christian minority community from the Middle East, coming to the United States, they have interacted with various Christian denominations in interesting ways, whether that be evangelicals for
Mm.
particular political reasons, or actually other Orthodox Christians that they are trying to kind of figure out their positions with in the US context. So it's literally a minority community immigrating to be another minority community in the United States. And the reason that I'm focusing on transnational anxieties with the community is that this migratory shift is raises questions of how the community, not only administratively in terms of the Coptic Orthodox Church, but personally in different communities throughout the United States and throughout Egypt, how they are defining themselves. Who are we? Are we Copts? Are we Orthodox? Are we just other Christians? Are we a very small minority might ask, are we Arabs? And so these particular questions produce a lot of anxieties around, how do we maintain our community in a very cohesive way? And has produced a lot of debates and tensions and anxieties in the community. And to kind of think about these questions, I did work between Upper Egypt in a village called Bahjura near Nega Hamedi and the New York, New Jersey area, and literally just followed people that were leaving the village to come to the United States, and through the green card lottery, sometimes family reunification, sometimes people claiming asylum in the United States, and tried to kind of survey different sections of the community to understand how they are defining themselves and what those debates actually are. Because a Coptic person in Staten Island, has a completely different understanding of who they are and what their church means to them, what being Coptic means, what being Orthodox means, than somebody from a smaller village in Upper Egypt who imagines America to be something much different than what those Copts in the United States that actually live here experience it as. And then kind of vice versa, how Copts in the United States imagine Copts and their brethren in Egypt to be. So it's really kind of thinking about how those tensions play out in a multi-sided transnational approach. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. But
no, that's great. Very interesting. Moving again along to our next question. So we were just wondering, what's the future for you for the next couple of years, and if you will, and if you can weigh in on what you think the future for the study of religion is. That's also another big question.
I think I feel more comfortable answering that one than the first one. But
okay.
For myself, I really am just focusing on writing the dissertation right now. In terms of the future, who knows if there's going to be, postdocs or positions available. Obviously, those that are in humanities and social sciences are in very precarious positions in terms of the job market. But I think that it's important to just love what you're doing and what you're studying, because kind of the future is a little bit uncertain. But in terms of the future of the study of religion, I can say that so what my dissertation and my work in general will seek to think about, and I think that this is something that those that are theologians or anthropologists, sociologists, whoever else is studying aspects of religion / secularism would be interested in thinking about is that I think that it's important that Christianity is studied as, a socioeconomic / political system. I understand that perspective in thinking about the ways in which it is very much administers particular liberal forms of governance, whether it be now, secularism or minority rights or other conceptual forms. But I think that it's also very important to think about the kind of diversities within Christianity. And that's where I think Orthodox Christianity is a very understudied, in terms of the social sciences, a very understudied group of people, can speak to kind of how the interaction between Christianity is kind of this hegemonic system, and the varieties of it can interact with one another. And in particular, Orthodox Christians from post-colonial societies, so whether it's Ethiopian Orthodox, Coptic Orthodox, Armenians, Syriacs, Indians, they have a very interesting uh, perspective to kind of give to thinking about Christianity, not only as a system, but as kind of lived religions themselves. So.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. Um, Again, moving along to our last question. Do you have any advice for young early stage grad students?
The advice I would have is that um, I think that what has been very important for me is to love what you are doing and the questions that you are pursuing, given that kind of the professional or kind of monetary future is not very certain for those graduate students in the humanities and social sciences. And I think, at least for me, and others will disagree with this, I think it's very important for those of us in the humanities and social sciences to pursue questions that are very important to us personally. Because when you have a personal investment, and this is something that, Saba in her work has also talked about, kind of why she pursued the questions that she pursued, gives us kind of the drive to understand like what the stakes of what we are doing are, because we are connected to those stakes as well. And so I would say that you just got to love what you're doing and love what you're writing, even in the midst of the craziness that is dissertation writing and postdoc applications and job applications.
Mm-hmm.
So,
thank you. As one grad student who has just completed his own dissertation, I would say it's very good advice. So thank you, Candace, for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck in your dissertation writing.
Thank you so much.